What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is Height Over Heart MMA. This week, we're going to be breaking down UFC Fight Night Garcia versus Onama. First thing we're going to do, we're going to take a look at last week's card and see how we did, and it was a rough one. I think I went 6 and 7 overall. Not very good. Not very good at all, especially to start off the channel. First fight of the night, we chose Amarim. Thought she was going to be a lock. Turns out it remains true that you cannot win in the UFC by just playing jiu-jitsu off your back. So definitely watch out for Amarim in the future. Definitely a fade. Another surprise, Raposo beating Maxim. Raposo actually let his hands go in this fight for the first time in the UFC. Got it done, just damage over control. This one, I'm not mad about getting wrong. I mean, both these guys are awful. It's kind of just pick your poison. I thought that Delgado won this fight, but it was very close. Wood got dropped in the first round, almost finished. That happens in every single fight. I guess we need to start putting some respect on his name as a guy that is very durable despite getting dropped. Thought Delgado won, but it is what it is. I'm not mad at the decision. Walter Walker does it again. First round heel hook. Klein won the decision over Rebecki. Ended up breaking his ankle in the third round. Would have been a much more dominant decision, but got kind of close there in the end. Aliskarov won by decision. Definitely showed some vulnerabilities. I'm like, his gas tank isn't great. His defensive striking is okay. I'm like, if he fights anybody in the future with good cardio that can defend a takedown, I'm like, definitely going to lose. This one, what a knockout from Salkield. I cannot believe that happened. I think Hackbrass is still sleeping. But yeah, just totally wrong on that one. Hackbrass looked good until he got knocked out. This one, Mirzakhanov, dead on with this one. Like I said, Rakic is chinny. I'm not really sure why he was mixing in so many takedowns. But I mean, all Mirzakhanov did was land a jab and put him out in the first round. Fellow Giraffe got it done in this one. I must say that I was quite happy with this decision. I mean, Almeida literally didn't do any damage whatsoever. I was watching it live. I was really hoping they were going to give it to Volkov, and maybe Dana did put in the call, and actually made it right by Volkov after losing that fight to Gon. Umar got it done via decision. Did have some adversity. Almost got knocked out with a knee in the second round. But Batista had a very good showing for himself. Defended, was scrambling really well. Just couldn't defend the takedowns. And nothing Umar did in this fight made me think that he was going to beat Merab in the rematch. Durden beats Verna by decision. Kind of how I figured it would go. Durden is a better striker, and she's much more aggressive. Verna, for some reason, would get takedowns and just not do anything with it. And McKenzie was staying active off her back, so she got it done. And then, obviously, the main event, eye poke. Gon was looking pretty good, but the fight was just getting going. It's a shame to see it happen that way, but they'll run it back, hopefully here in a couple months, and then we'll get a decisive winner. All right, so we're going to get into the card. Garcia versus Onama. It's taking place in the fight capital of the world, the UFC warehouse. It's a shame to see things back in the Apex, but honestly, this is a pretty good card. Not a whole lot of name value, but a bunch of fights that I think are really going to deliver. So, first fight of the night, starting off with an absolute banger, just like we did last week. Alencar versus Carnelossi, women's strawweight division. Usually in women's MMA, just a safe bet is always to bet the person that looks like a man. And I think Carnelossi is a man, but I will not be taking her as a pick. I mean, Carnelossi is absolutely jacked. There's no way she is not on the sauce. She's got some finishes in the UFC. Her last fight, she was getting her ass beat, and then Pierre Rodriguez decided to headbutt her, and she won by DQ. So I happened to cash in a bet on that. But her takedown defense is terrible. She is, she does have a threat on the feet of potentially getting the knockout. But Alencar on the other side, very good grappler, very good wrestling. Coming off that win over Vanessa Dumopoulos, who was absolute shit, but did it dominantly. And so I think in this fight, Alencar should be able to get the takedowns, should be able to control her. Yeah, I'll go Alencar by decision. So bets I like for this fight, just the Alencar money line. All right, next fight. Phil Rowe versus Seokyoung-ko, the Korean Tyson. Seokyoung-ko, very well-rounded fighter. He's got good striking, good wrestling. We just saw him grapple up Oban Elliott in his last fight, kind of fraud-checked him. Phil Rowe on the other side, fellow giraffe. He's 6'3" at welterweight. Coming off that win over Ange Lusa, first man to ever finish Ange Lusa. Before that, 2 losses in a row to pretty decent competition in Neil Magny and Jake Matthews. I'm probably not going to bet a side on this fight. I am going to pick Phil Rowe to win, though, because he is a fellow tall man, and we're going to start something new on the channel this week with the Giraffe of the Week, and the Giraffe of the Week is Phil Rowe. Bets I like for this fight, I like Rowe plus 3.5 or plus 5.5, plus 7.5. I don't think that Seokyoung-ho is going to finish him. There's definitely a path to victory with taking him down, and Phil Rowe does like to play the jiu-jitsu game, so if he is getting taken down, he'll probably try to play that jiu-jitsu game off of his back. But I don't think Seokyoung-ho is going to finish him. Phil Rowe definitely has the finishing upside here. And I'm going to go with Phil Rowe to win a close split decision. All right, so next fight of the night, we got Elise Ardelean versus Montserrat Conejo Ruiz. Elise Ardelean, she's got an OnlyFans. Really, that's her claim to fame. 1-2 in the UFC. Despite having a terrible record of 10-7, she's actually not a terrible fighter. She's not great, but she is a dog. She will come forward. She's coming off her first UFC win. Ruiz on the other side, extremely small for the strawweight division. I mean, she's 5 feet tall, so very short. She's lost 3 times in the UFC in a row, all by finish. I think Ardelean gets it done here. I think she's just going to come forward, pressure, throw shots, mix in the wrestling, and I just think she's going to bully her around the cage. Official pick is going to be Ardelean by decision, but I like the Ardelean money line. I think she's I don't want to say safe. It is women's MMA. I think should be okay to parlay. I also like the Ardelean minus 3.5. No guarantee that there's ever a finish in a women's fight, so play it safe to the minus 3.5 for a dominant decision. All right, next fight, we got Ketlin Vieira versus Norma, the dump truck Dumont. So most of us know Norma for having that thing on her, but she's actually a pretty good fighter. She's very, very technical, has fast hands. She's well-rounded. She can mix it up. She will wrestle if she needs to. She'll put people up against the cage. Vieira on the other side, big girl, likes to clinch as well. Kind of just takes whatever path of the fight she thinks she can win in the easiest. I'm going to pick Norma here, but I think this fight is going to play out very close. I think it's going to be a lot of clinching up against the cage. And just because Norma is better looking, I think the judges are going to give her the decision. So some bets like for this fight, I think the over 2.5 should be a lock. I think it's going to be close. So Vieira plus 3.5. If you like a side, go ahead and bet it, but I'm not confident in either one of these girls. I think it'll be probably a greasy split decision, 29-28, classic women's MMA. All right, next fight of the night, we got Dante Johnson versus Cedriques Dumas. So Dumas coming into this fight with one testicle now after that no contest to Zach Ruiz a couple of months ago. On top of that, he's got more arrests and charges on his record than he does fights. Not really sure how he's still in the UFC at this point. He's had a couple wins. He's beaten nothing but bums. Dante Johnson on the other side, 6-0, undefeated as a pro, former football player. Got power in the hands. Coming off the Contender Series with a first round knockout up at heavyweight. This fight is now at middleweight. But I think he should roll here. I think he's going to blitz Dumas early, clip him with something big, and just swarm on him and get him out of there, and then hopefully get this dude at the UFC. So Dante Johnson's going to be the pick. I'm going to go first round KO. Like I said, I like the Johnson money line. Johnson minus 3.5. Johnson by KO. Fight does not go the distance. You want to sprinkle Johnson by first round KO. I think you'd be good there as well. All right, next fight we got Timmy Cuambo versus Chang Ho Lee. So Chang Ho Lee, the Korean Khabib, he's a come forward fighter, very aggressive, very well on the ground. That's where he wants to get most of his fights. Cuambo on the other side, very well rounded, very fast on the feet. He's coming off that finish win over Roberto Romero. I was actually there live for that fight. Really good performance. And despite the fact that Cuambo is coming off of a finish win in his last fight, I don't really think he has much finishing potential. He's fought to Oki. Oki, I don't think is all that. Lost to Lucas Almeida. Almeida was just piecing him up in that fight and kind of bullying him around the cage because he was the bigger guy. And Cuambo got dropped a couple times. I just think that Chang Ho Lee is going to come forward. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to get in his face. And I think Cuambo is a guy that can be bullied. And so for that reason, I'm going to go Chang Ho Lee to win. And then I like Lee money line. I like the Lee plus 3.5. I think win inside the distance, decision, no action for Lee would be good as well. I just don't think Timmy Cuambo is all that. So we're going to go with Lee. All right, next fight of the night. We got Kevin Christian versus Billy Elekana. So Kevin Christian is a 6'7" light heavyweight. So a fellow giraffe, but he is absolute shit. Little to no technique on the feet. He's a jiu-jitsu nerd. Most of his wins are by sub. He got a submission on the Contender Series by triangle, KO there, triangle. He just doesn't really have a whole lot of skill. Can't really get takedowns. Isn't great on the feet. He can, he has some power just because he's a bigger guy, but Elekana, on the other hand, 1-1 in the UFC, coming off that very lackluster win to Ibo Aslan. But that's kind of how Elekana fights. Elekana is very technical. He's pretty athletic. Likes to stay on the outside, pick his shots, well-rounded. Elekana is minus 230. I think that is probably the steal of the card. He should be a minus 400 favorite against this guy. Christian is a bum. I think Elekana rolls here. Elekana money line. I like that play. The minus 3.5. Elekana historically is not a great finisher, but win inside the distance, decision, no action could be another bet too. The only way I see Elekana losing this fight is if Christian somehow clips him with something wild on the feet or somehow gets him to the ground or takes his back and gets in a choke. But I don't think Christian is UFC level, and I think he's going to get exposed here against Elekana. All right, next fight of the night, we got Nascimento versus Cody Durden. Cody Durden's coming in on short notice here. Lost 4 out of his last 5 on a bit of a slide. Nascimento on the other side, coming off 3 straight wins. His only loss was UFC debut on short notice to Gear by split decision. I think Nascimento is going to steamroll in here. Durden has good cardio. His chin is kind of gone at this point. And Nascimento is not a big power puncher, but I mean, I'm starting to think a gust of wind could knock out Cody Durden at this point. And then Cody Durden is a good wrestler, but he's definitely not going to out-wrestle Nascimento. Nascimento, we'll see if he even makes weight, but he's going to be the bigger guy in there. He's got the better grappling. He's got the better striking. All Durden has is pressure and cardio. And even his cardio, he tends to fade in that third round. So I'm going to go Nascimento here. I like Nascimento money line. I like Nascimento minus 3.5. I like the win inside the distance decision, no action. I just think Durden is old and washed at this point, and Nascimento is going to roll him. All right, next fight, we got Charles Radtke versus Daniel Frunza. This is a banger matchup, guaranteed to end at a finish. Frunza coming off that loss to Reese McKee. Reese McKee is not a good fighter, and to get finished in the first round, not a good look. Now, technically, it was a doctor stoppage, but he got dropped 3 or 4 times in that first round against Reese McKee, who is like 1-5 in the UFC at this point. Frunza is pretty much just a stand and trade brawler. He does have knockout power, but wrestling is not great. The takedown defense isn't great. On the other side, we got Charles Radtke. Charles Radtke's well-rounded. He's got a really good left hook. He's got good power in his hands. Coming off that loss to Mike Mallet by KO, where he just was getting in his face and then ultimately paid the price. But I think that Radtke's the pick here. I mean, I think he can knock him out on the feet. He can take him down if he wants to. I'm going to go Charles Radtke by first round submission. I think they're going to start trading on the feet. Things are going to get wild. Radtke's going to shoot a takedown and ultimately end up getting an arm triangle in the first round. And then hopefully he'll hop on the mic and give us what we all want. So bets I like for this fight. Radtke money line. The fight does not go to distance. Any of the unders I think should hit. But this should be a really good fight, and it should be a quick one. All right, next fight of the night, we got Isaac Dulgarian versus Yadier Del Valle. So Dulgarian, 7-1, really should be 8-0. Got a robbery split decision over Christian Rodriguez. Isaac Dulgarian, all of his wins are first-round finishes, minus his last win, which happened in the second round. Really good wrestler, submission threat on the ground, has great ground and pound. And then Yadier Del Valle on the other side, pretty well-rounded. He's got decent striking, good takedowns, coming off that submission win over Connor Matthews, where he basically just went out there and subbed him. Got the takedown, subbed him almost immediately. I think Dulgarian is going to be the pick here. This could be a potential live bet situation to where if Dulgarian does get to the third round, you could bet Del Valle to see if he's got if he's got the cardio to finish him. Dulgarian did fade in that Rodriguez fight because he comes out so guns blazing in that first round. But I think Dulgarian is definitely going to win the first. There's a high likelihood that he wins the second. And another thing is that Del Valle likes to pull guillotine. So whenever you pull guillotine, you end up on the bottom. And if you do that against Isaac Dulgarian, you're going to end up eating a lot of shots for being on the bottom. And I just think that Del Valle is a decent prospect, but I think Dulgarian is a potential future top 15 lightweight. So we're going to go with Dulgarian, probably by decision. I think Del Valle is tough. I think he'll make it to the final bell. So advice for this fight, I like the Dulgarian money line. Like I said, potential live bet situation on Del Valle. But I think Del Valle's tough. I don't think Dulgarian's going to finish him. If he does, I'll be really impressed. But We're just going to go Dulgarian for the pick. All right. Feature fight of the night. We have Jeremiah Wells versus Themba Gorimbo. So Jeremiah Wells is 39 years old. Very old for welterweight. He's 5'9". Not the biggest guy, but he is a freak athlete. I mean, this dude, anything he does looks athletic as hell. He'll, blitz into combinations, wing overhands, jump into a flying knee, shoot blast doubles. He is a phenomenal athlete, but he is coming off 2 losses in a row. Got submitted by Carlson Harris and then lost that split decision to Max Griffin, where nobody really did anything in that fight. On the other side, you got Themba Gorimbo. Themba's pretty well rounded, mostly a grappler. Coming off that loss to Luque in like 30 seconds, I'm like, he just got absolutely embarrassed. But he is a decent fighter. I don't think either one of these guys has the best chin. We've seen Wells dropped multiple times before. We've seen Gorimbo get dropped. I do think Gorimbo is the cleaner, more technical fighter, and Wells kind of is going to thrive in that chaos. But in that chaos, it also leaves him open to be hit. So I'm not confident in either side in this matchup. I'm going to take Gorimbo just because he's the younger fighter, and I think he'll play it more safe. But I think regardless of who wins this fight, I think it doesn't go the distance. So that is going to be my play for this fight, is the fight does not go the distance. All right, next fight, we got the co-main event of the evening. Waldo Cortes-Acosta versus Ante Delija. So Ante Delija, former PFL champ, fought in the PFL for a long time. Came over to the UFC, made his UFC debut last time out, getting the first round knockout over Marcin Tybura. Delija, mainly a striker, very good striker. He trains with Tom Aspinall and those guys over at that heavyweight gym over in the UK. But he's a very well-rounded guy. And then on the other side, we got Waldo Cortes-Acosta, former baseball player. He's mainly a boxer. He doesn't throw a whole lot of kicks. He wrestled against Rebellis to Spain, but that's just because he didn't want to get knocked out, and it was an easy path to victory. But other than that, it's mainly just the hands you got to worry about from Waldo. Coming off that loss to Sergey, to where I thought it was going to be more competitive than it was. Waldo's got a fucking chin on him. I mean, Pavlich landed some bombs, and he didn't go out. And so Waldo has that going for him. It's always going to keep him in the fight whenever you're that durable. And he does have quick hands, but he doesn't have a lot of finishing potential. Doesn't really mix it up with the leg kicks or any kicks at all. Isn't going to shoot the takedowns. And I think when you look at this matchup, I think the striking is pretty even. I think Waldo might be slightly faster, but I think Delija has the knockout power. Delija is going to mix in kicks. Delija can go to the wrestling if he wants to. He can go to the clinch. He can go to the grappling. So I'm gonna take Delija for the pick. I was pretty impressed last time out. Tybura gives a lot of guys problems, and I just don't think Waldo has the finishing upside to really go far in the upper echelon of the heavyweight division. So I'm gonna take Delija, probably by decision, just because Waldo's head is so big and he's so durable. But I like the Delija money line. I like the -3.5. I like the win inside the distance decision, no action as well. All right, main event time. Steve Garcia versus David Onama. This is a fantastic fight. Guaranteed fireworks. This is not going to go the distance. We got Onama coming off that win over Giga Chikadze. I was there live for that fight. Had to resort to the wrestling, which, to be fair, was the path of least resistance. But he was kind of losing the striking exchanges to Giga Chikadze. Steve Garcia on the other side, coming off 6 wins in a row, coming off that decision beat down over Calvin Kattar. He's got fantastic cardio. He has knockout power. He's just kind of all over the place. Very aggressive striker. Throws a ton of volume. Does leave him open to be countered. He has been dropped. Both these guys have been dropped in multiple fights. Both these guys have survived. Both of them will wrestle if they need to. Onama is going to be the more technical guy, but I think he has a worse chin. But then Garcia is going to be more wild and crazy, but does leave himself to getting hit more. Oh, this is a tough one to pick. I'm going to take Steve Garcia here. I just think that if he can survive the first round or two, whether he gets the knockout or if it ends up making it to the third round, I think that Onama is going to gas out and Garcia is still going to be there pushing forward, pushing the volume, and eventually he's going to break Onama. Onama can definitely chin him early. Either one of these guys could get chinned early. Honestly, this fight could be finished at any given point. But I'm going to ride with the momentum of Steve Garcia and just the forward pressure and aggression. And I'm really looking forward to this fight. Should it be a main event? Probably not, but it's a damn good fight. It's an exciting fight. So, bets alike for this fight. Fight does not go the distance. Fight ends by KO. Pretty much any of the unders, I think, should be a lock. So, just go through it again. We got Alencar by decision. We're going to go Phil Rowe, our giraffe of the week, by decision. We're going to go Ardelean by decision. Norma Dumont by decision. Dante Johnson by first round KO. Chang Ho Lee by decision. Billy Elekana by decision. Nascimento by finish. Radtke by submission. Dulgarian by decision. We'll go Gorimbo knockout in the first round. Delija by decision. And then Garcia by second or third round KO. But, alright guys, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully the bets hit on this card. Thanks for watching, and